Welcome to this brief Infinera training module that will guide you through an overview of amplifier options for the Groove G30 chassis. In the simplest G30 network, we have a span between two sites where the original signal is received without the need for any amplification. This type of setup is advantageous as we eliminate the need for amplification. As a signal passes down a fibre, it gradually loses power, which we call attenuation. If the span is too long, attenuation will make the signal too weak to be used. For this reason, we need some amplifier options. There are three main ways we can use an amplifier: as a booster, as a preamplifier, or as a repeater. In this example, we have extended the span so you can see the attenuation causes a signal to be so weak that it cannot reach the far end of the span. So now we will use an amplifier in booster mode. The line out of the optical DWDM multiplexer is connected directly to the input of the booster. The booster makes a signal much stronger. Strong enough that in this example it can reach the other end of the span. You should already know the optical DWDM multiplexer is bidirectional. It stands to reason that if a span is so large in one direction that amplification is required, we will also need amplification in the other direction. So it is normal to see a booster amplifier on the two receive sides of each span. An alternative scenario is where a signal makes it to the other end but is so weak that it cannot be used. In these scenarios, we can add a preamplifier. The preamplifier is installed on the line in of the optical DWDM multiplexer. This takes what was a weak signal, amplifies it, and passes it onto the multiplexer. Once again, if a preamplifier is required on the receive side of one end of the span, it will normally also require a preamplifier on the receive side at the other end of the span. The optical supervisory channel is an extra channel added to enable communication between two nodes at either side of the span. If that is present, you need a preamplifier with OSC functionality. This diagram shows that OSC is removed as it comes into the preamplifier and placed on a separate port. The remaining channels, which are carrying data, are then passed on to be preamplified before being passed onto another port. The optical supervisory channel needs to be bidirectional. So, even though the preamplifier only amplifies in one direction, there needs to be an in and out port for the other direction, so the OSC can be added. When span distances increase further still, we may need to install an amplifier mid-span to ensure the signal is strong enough to be delivered to the far end. This is what we refer to as a repeater site. The location of the amplifier depends on span range, fibre quality, and where repeater sites can be located. This can be achieved using a combination of booster and preamplifiers depending on the network requirements. Our amplifiers are extremely compact. For this reason, we have to plug them into an optical carrier card, which is then plugged into a Groove G30 chassis. The optical carrier card, known as an OCC2, is a dual sled module requiring two slots of a Groove G30 chassis. The OCC2 card has 3 cages that can host our range of amplifier modules known as OFP2s. This is our range of OFP2s, standing for Optical Form Factor Pluggable, version 2. You don't need to remember each type, but you should recognise this includes preamplifiers, boosters, and combinations with OSC. And this is what an amplifier looks like, remembering that each amplifier takes up one cage in an OCC2 module. By now, you should understand that our range of amplifiers, known as OFMP2s, include two main types of amplifier: boosters and preamplifiers. You should recall that some modules include an option to integrate an optical supervisory channel. In terms of the hardware, you should remember that our amplifiers fit into an optical carrier card known as an OCC2 that requires 2 slots in a Groove G30 chassis. Finally, you'll understand that each OCC2 card could accommodate up to 3 amplifier modules. Well done on completing this training module. It will be marked as complete, but will continue to be available to you on the Learning Management System.